the customer should talk more than you talk. And you should ask open-ended, empowering questions that get them to tell you what's going on.
Are you looking to improve your sales without resorting to pushy tactics? Welcome to Sales Made Easy, the podcast that helps you to achieve better sales results and gain long-lasting clients through relational selling. Let's get right into it. Sid Meadows is joining the Sales Made Easy podcast, and you're in for a treat today. Sid Meadows is a business advisor, coach, consultant, speaker, podcast host, and the list goes on. He specializes in empowering small businesses in the contract interiors industry. And today we are going to talk about sales and sales leadership. Sid, welcome to the Sales Made Easy podcast. What's the good word?
Hey, Harry, good morning. It's great to be here with you today. I'm excited to talk about one of my favorite topics. Well, two of my favorite topics, sales and leadership. So I'm glad to be here with you.
Nice. So Sid, help me understand, what is it that you're doing today empowering small businesses in the contract interior space?
So I think it's a great question. And I think the first thing we should answer is, what is contract interiors?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Most people don't know, but anytime you walk into a doctor's office, an office building, a hotel where people work or where people gather, you see, whether it's in a lobby, maybe you sit at a workstation, maybe you've got a desk that goes up and down, what we call a height adjustable desk. So when you walk into that environment, that's who we are. We sell the products that outfit offices, hotels, doctor's office, medical buildings, you name it, education facilities, government facilities. That's what we do. And specifically, I work with the furniture manufacturers, those people that actually manufacture and distribute furniture. There's a whole ecosystem in contract interiors, which would include flooring and lighting, acoustics, architecture, interior design, and there's a whole ecosystem of us. But we're the people that make those buildings and create those buildings and the spaces that you work in and live in when you're out in an office.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I have been in offices before and I see
Most
all
people
that
don't
stuff.
realize it's an industry. Like,
Right.
how do you think the stuff actually gets there, right? So what I do today is I'm a partner, a co-founder and president of the Collaborative Network, and we are a resource for small business manufacturers. We're basically, what we do is we provide education, best practices, resources, and learning opportunities for small businesses in a peer group format. So we're a community, or a collaborative, if you will, of like growth-minded leaders coming together. We have an executive leader, we have a sales leader program, we have a marketing leader program, and then we have an accelerator program, all designed to help small businesses with growth strategies and things that they need to do to get to the next level. So that's what we spend our time doing today.
Outstanding. So let's talk a little bit about sales and sales leadership. So I imagine a lot of these smaller businesses are thinking of hiring a salesperson. The many that I've spoken to over the years in different industries look at the growth and say, well, I need to hire a salesperson. They have very limited sales experience themselves frequently and zero sales leadership experience. Is this something that you've seen as well?
Yeah, a lot of times in small businesses, what you experience is the founder, the owner, is wearing multiple hats. They're the CEO, they're the CFO, they're the VP of sales, they're the VP of marketing, and they're the front line of customer experience or customer service. For a small business to grow, the one thing they need is sales. Revenue solves all problems. Sales solves all problems. And so for a small business, it can be really hard to figure out, how do you invest in what can be a high six-figure person to come in and either lead your organization or your sales organization, or to just be an individual contributor. And there are a lot of factors for a small business to consider. Small companies struggle to offer benefits because they don't have enough scope of number of employees, if you will, to get really good deals on healthcare, dental, or eye, or whatever kind of insurance that most people actually really need. So there's a lot of challenges when doing this, but I think at the end of the day, a business leader has to figure out what are the ways, and there are multiple ways, I believe, to generate revenue in your business. It doesn't mean you have to hire somebody as a full-time employee. You could hire a fractional person. You could hire a
Exactly.
contractor to be a 1099 seller. You could lean heavily into digital strategies in order to start getting revenue in. There's a lot of different things I think you could do, but every business needs sales.
Exactly. So it's interesting that when you elaborated on all the different hats that small business owners wear, sales, as you mentioned, everyone needs sales, but it's frequently viewed as the least important. So people spend a ton of money and time on marketing, but when it comes down to the people that they're actually speaking to, this becomes a challenge. And, they end up vomiting all over
Mm-hmm.
people with word vomiting and saying things like, I'm the best, I'm going to work hard for you. And they're not really getting into what is the need of the person. So you have
Yep.
that going on. And sometimes people just they've got great personalities, very charming. I know business owners like this, and they get sales. So you can't argue with that. I mean, it works for some people,
Mm-hmm.
but yet when those people are hiring people, they think that everyone is like them. And that's where the real mistakes come in, because they have a special skill set that maybe they're charming, they're the founder, people like that, they're dealing with the decision maker, but that's not something that the salesperson is going to get. So as a business owner, and they say, well, okay, I've done the marketing, I've got inbound. Now it's like, I need some help because I can't handle all of the activity. And I think that's really is a good place where you can start looking at getting a salesperson. What's your thought on that?
Well, I think it really depends on. Let's talk about what's your business do. What are you selling? What's the cycle time of what it is you're selling? If you're selling pens and paper, and the cycle time is like really quickly and you deliver it tomorrow, versus selling office furniture, where the cycle time can be 16 weeks or longer, depending. But if you go back to the core of this, I think where business leaders go wrong in selling in general, I mean, they have to start a business, you have to have a product to sell and you have to have a customer that buys it. So you've
Mm,
validated you got a really great product that you believe people are going to want, whether it's a new technology, a piece of furniture, whatever. But where people miss the boat is knowing who their customer is,
mm,
understanding who is their ideal customer persona. And they don't spend the time to really dive in and understand who is that person. And Harry, I could have the greatest computer mouse in the world that only works with Macs, but it's revolutionary. And if I start trying to sell you and you don't use a Mac, I'm wasting my time and my energy. And I've seen a lot of business leaders try to sell to the wrong person because they don't know who their customer is. So I think you got to look at the foundation of who is your customer, really understand all the things that they're going through. And then the next question is, what is the problem that you are solving for their business? And that's a
yes.
bigger one. What's the problem that you solve? Because here's the thing, nobody woke up this morning and said, I need to hire Sid to be my sales coach or my leadership coach. Nobody woke up this morning and said, I need to hire Harry to be my business advisor. They don't. Those business owners wake up in the morning thinking about the problems in their business and how do they solve those problems in their business. That's where you come in. What is the problem you solve for whatever type of business it is that you're focusing on? And if you can know that, then a lot of times the sales will be a lot easier. And then the revenue will start coming in that actually gives you the resources, the financial resources you need to make a decision about who and when are you going to hire.
Oh, it's so good. The Yeah, just going back to the ICP is such a huge, huge issue. It's not just the founders, it's also founders may know it, but the sales team doesn't, right? So they may hire people and the salesperson, I mean, I see this over and over again. They have a higher quota, they're selling a higher ticket item, and they're spending time with solopreneurs at chamber cocktail events.
Mhm.
I ask salespeople this all the time. It's like, how many of your actual prospects are in that room?
It's a
And it's
great
like
question.
the answer is typically, well, maybe they can refer me to somebody. And
Why would they?
there's this, it's just like,
Mhm.
well, that's such a long shot compared to being in a room filled with people who actually need your services, who have a
Mhm.
problem. That is a much better fit than being with
Mhm.
obviously, right?
Mhm.
Understanding your ICP there is huge.
So you would not build a house without making sure you had a solid foundation. And knowing who your customer is, knowing what you're selling them, and knowing the problem that you solve for them are parts of the foundation of your business. So you can't skip that part because you would never build a house without building a solid foundation. And the same rule applies to building your business.
Yeah, so true. I'm just reading this book, LinkedIn Edge by Jeb Blunt and Bryn
Mm,
Tillman. I have massive respect for those two. And right off the bat, it talks about your ICP.
yep.
Until I went out on my own,
Mm-hmm.
I never even heard of an ICP in my corporate sales career.
Yep.
Never. And it was like, wow, what did I miss? What's this ICP thing? Thankfully, I made it through all those years without understanding it. But the answer really was I could narrow it down as to where we needed to spend our time, which was
Yep.
with businesses that needed our stuff and could afford it
Mm-hmm.
and could make
100%.
decisions locally. Is like, oh, okay, I had an ICP and I didn't really know it. But interestingly enough, over the years, there's so many of sales people that I've led that would be spending their time with people that could not, buy a paperclip. And then you're trying to coach people up. It's like, well, you're going to the path or taking the path of least resistance here because those people are nice. They can't spend any money. So they're not afraid of being backed into a corner. And now they need a friend. That's not where salespeople should be spending their time. So the harder sale, obviously, is for a higher ticket item, is to reach decision makers and
Yep.
spend your time around those people and
Mm-hmm.
understanding what their problems are versus leading with your product, which is also a huge issue as well.
Oh, yeah,
I can see you
dude.
chomping at the bit there.
Nobody likes to be sold to. Nobody likes to be thrown up on about product features and benefits or a warranty of a product. Nobody likes that, including the people you're trying to sell to. So again, you go back to what's the problem that your product solves for that person's business? And you talk about that. If you really zone in on that, sell your product without selling your product.
Mm.
Don't tell me about your product. Tell me about how this product's going to increase my revenue, how this product's going to make me more profitable, how this product is going to improve the productivity of my employees, which then, if employee productivity improves, my profits improve because we're getting more done, right? So tell me about those kinds of things. And there was a customer that I have, it's kind of a small customer, and I talked to him about this a lot. He's new into the furniture industry, and he did a video the other day, and he sells an acoustic pod, which is a product that you go into, you close the door, and it's a solo pod, and you can sit there and you can relax, you can do heads down work, you can have a private conversation. And he did this video that he posted on LinkedIn where he did exactly this. He sold his product, never once mentioned his product's name. He
Mm.
zoned in on the benefits of heads down private work, having a
Mm.
private place to work. And he just zoned in on it, and he had research. The video was really good. This is a case study of how you sell your product without throwing up on people about the features and benefits and the latest and greatest of this, because that's where you start to lose people.
Yeah, exactly. No one's buying right now. I think
It's
this is
going to be
the other
hard.
challenge is like you're selling the features of what your product is and how great it is, but when you're talking to people when they pick up the phone, they're
Mhm.
not shopping.
Yeah,
Right?
no.
They're not in shopping mode. You just interrupted them and then you're
Mhm.
blabbering about features and how great your product is, not going to get it done.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you think that cold calling is dead?
No.
Oh, tell me why.
Oh, no, I'm a big believer in growing the business. And yeah, so I've been cold calling for years in the copier industry,
Oh, yeah, that's the
right?
worst. Office machines.
Yes, a
Yes.
lot of people have felt that way. I learned that I could separate myself from the pack
Hmm.
by doing the right things for people,
Hmm.
right? By being servant minded, having a different approach, being consultative. And the greatest compliment in the world was, I don't even view you as a salesperson.
Mm,
because you're solving problems. And that is exactly what
mhm.
selling could be, regardless of what the industry is.
Yep.
So in my world of that, like, so you're in the office
Yep.
furniture,
Yep.
maybe that's a little different, but really when I view cold calling, I don't view it as randomly walking in without doing a little research.
Mm,
It is an interruption.
mhm,
So if it's a phone call, if it's a LinkedIn direct message, if it's a walk in because you're next door in a nice office and you look at the place and say, I don't know what's going on in there. You
mhm,
look at your phone, look them up on the website, find out that there's a corporate office there. Maybe you get a contact there through the
mhm,
website. Now you can walk in and say, "Hey, I work with your neighbors next door. I was looking to see if, Bill Smith is around. I'd like to just introduce myself and see if he has time to schedule a meeting. If
mhm.
not, that's cool."
Yep.
Right. So it's a very soft approach. You've got your neighbors there and the reason for the call and so forth. But I'm not saying to do it blindly and just treat everyone the
Mhm,
same. And that's where I think the disconnect is when
mhm.
people say, well, when they view cold calling as a dead thing, right? I try to make it warmer and I view it that way. What's your
Yeah,
thought?
I think what you described was intentional cold calling, having a plan, knowing who you're going to call on, doing research before
Yeah.
you actually do it, before you actually pick up the phone or send the email. So that, intentional cold calling,
Yeah.
that stuff is just, and I actually said to a guy one day that reached out to me trying to sell, he had done no research about me. He just, I was in his funnel. He put me in his funnel. Somehow I got there. And what he sold, I don't even need.
Right.
And I said to him, hey, and this is the one of the few that I ever responded to. And I said, hey, I'm not your ideal customer. I don't have a need for the products in my business that you're selling. You realize there's a better way than what you're doing in spraying all, because it's basically praying and
Yeah.
spraying, right? Spraying all
Exactly.
these emails. And he goes, yeah, I've heard there's a better way, but I got to tell you, my ratio is about 6% of the people, the thousands of people that he reaches out
Yep.
to. He actually gets to the next step. So he sees that as a success. I would rather want to say, let's look at this as if we zoned into 100 of the right people
Yeah.
and we got a 25% success rate of the 100 of the right people that we're talking to and not spraying and praying to get anybody and everybody that we could on a phone. So I'd want to go more narrow to what you described as intentional cold calling or warm
Yeah.
cold calling.
Yeah. What you described on LinkedIn and what a lot of people are doing, I mean, the spam likely calls that we're all getting, that turns people away from selling, right? So
Correct.
people view us all the same regardless.
Oh,
We
salesperson.
exactly.
It says with that condescending little snide
Yeah.
remark, you're in sales. Oh,
Yeah.
you're one
Right.
of those people.
Yeah. You don't care about people. You just care about money. You're greedy. They have us pinned, don't they?
So they think. The other thing that you mentioned that I think is really important is I do believe today that we are in much more of a consultative sales approach. What you were describing in helping your customers in the copy business, that's really the right way to sell, to be consultative, to help your customer. And you could help your customer solve a problem. That doesn't mean they buy your product, but you've
Exactly.
earned trust, you've earned respect with them. They know that you help them. They're going to always remember that you helped them. So when they do have a need for your product, hopefully you're the first person that they call.
Yeah. I mean, it's like over the years, I have found what is my ideal client. Again, not knowing what that
Mm-hmm.
meant. Now, someone could say you're doing things the wrong way and maybe get a sale out of that. Or you could say, hey, if that's working for you, great. I'll stay in touch and maybe things change. And I've seen that over and over again. People are doing things that were way too costly, way too labor intensive. They weren't ready to make a move, but they had to experience that to find out that that was a problem.
Yep.
What exactly?
That experience of pain.
So when someone tells you, Sid, that you're doing things the wrong way, how do you feel?
Well, my first thought would be, what is it that you know about my business? Right? Like, what is it that you know about my business that you're making a bold statement that I'm doing something the wrong way. And I think potentially a better way to approach it might be something like, well, hey, Harry, tell me about the challenges that you have when you're going about trying to complete this task. And then that person starts talking because in the sales environment, the customer should talk more than you talk.
Exactly.
And you should ask open-ended, empowering questions that get them to tell you what's going on. And so if you say, hey, tell me what's the pain point, like what's the challenge that you have in operating this software, you could say to the customer, what if I could show you a tool that we have that could take away so many of these pain points and could reduce the stress and anxiety that you have around using this software and save you 25 minutes per hour with the struggles that you're having operating this software? Would you be interested in seeing this tool?
Absolutely.
Like,
Right. It's a
no
much better
brainer.
approach.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the difference is, well, one of the many differences is that you're asking questions versus someone coming in and just saying, blurting out stuff that a
Yep.
business owner, an executive is going to look at as like,
Mhm.
well, exactly what you said. What do you know about my business? And already it's confrontation
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
versus I am on your side of the table. I'm with you and I want to understand your business and see if there might be ways to do things a little bit better and make you more efficient or whatever. The goal is to be a resource for you
Mhm.
and bring value to your business. And that's really how I roll, is a much better approach.
So if you think about this from a software perspective,
Yeah.
if I'm using XYZ software and you are selling me a better solution, what you believe to be a better solution to XYZ software, just because I use XYZ software, you can't come in and say to me, well, I know because you're using the software that you're spending 10 hours backing up the software and that you're doing this, because I may not be experiencing that.
Right.
You
Yeah.
got to explore, you got to have those exploratory questions to really understand what it is what my experience is with the product. And if I say to you, this product works great for me, we are really happy with it, then the salesperson's response should be something, I'm so happy for you, but I would love to touch base with you in a few months just to check in with you to see how things are going. It's been great to meet you. Just end that conversation and move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. Over the years, it's been a work in progress to improve in sales. And I have been on that side where once I knew what someone was using, I knew the negatives. So I would go in leading with that. That's not how to do it, right? The much better approach is to ask questions. How are things working out for them? And then when you lead with negativity, it's again, it's not a relationship foundation to build
Mm-mm.
on, in my
Mm-mm.
opinion, right? So you learn that just because someone's got something that you know is an opportunity for you, you have to still be patient and work the process.
Mm-hmm.
Ask good
Totally agree.
questions, see where they stand, what are their challenges, and they might not give you what their challenges are on the first conversation.
Yep.
I think benefit for understanding people a little bit is that people are not trustworthy they don't
Mm-hmm.
view salespeople as trustworthy and they always open up, even though your questions may be great and your motives may be pure. But because they've been burned in the past, they say everything is great. And we have to earn some trust there.
Sales is emotional and you have to connect with that person. People make buying decisions based on emotion, then they back it up with logic.
Right.
The emotional side of the brain is the left side. So you want to sit on that side of the person so that you're talking to the emotional side of the person
Wow.
because they make a decision based on emotions, then they back it up with logic.
Yeah.
Most of us
Okay.
are right-handed. We tend to sit on the right.
Yeah.
So you need to actually sit on the left because then you're talking to the left brain, which is the emotional brain, and you're connecting more. Yeah, but there's little things like that that you could do that are easy to
Yeah.
make changes. And you said something earlier, Sit Your Way to Success is the name of the book. And the author is Leanne Pashina. And she has all this research in there and science in there about where you should sit at a table and the shapes of the table. She's a furniture seller too, but she wrote this book about this and it's super easy to read. And I actually interviewed her for my podcast.
Yeah.
It's a really, really great to understand some of that and what that psychology means and how you can use that to your benefit.
sales psychology, leadership psychology. Some people view it as manipulation. I just look at them and say, man, this is all about human relationships. If you think this is manipulation, is trying to understand how people think and what makes them trust you. What's your thought on that?
So a minute ago, you said something about growing and learning. And I don't believe any of us are ever finished.
Yeah.
I believe we should always, if we are trying to be the best that we can be, the best seller, the best sales leader, the best business owner, the best consultant, the best coach, whatever it is you're trying to be the best at, means that you should be learning and growing every day of the week. Whether
I
that's
love it.
reading, listening to podcasts, hiring a coach to work with you, whatever it is, there's always something for you to learn because every industry is changing and evolving. And if you keep doing things today the way you did them 5 years and 10 years ago, you are going to be left behind. There are new sales strategies. You need to learn how to leverage digital strategies in your business. If you're not leveraging digital strategies, you're being left behind, but you can learn about them. Typically, a customer has researched you, has been to your website, looked at your LinkedIn profile, likely saw you on Instagram, but they've engaged with you 7 times before they ever contact you.
Amazing.
And if you're not out there, you don't have a profile, you don't have a website, guess what? They're not going to discover you.
Yeah.
They're not going to contact you. And this is simple. Somebody asked me about a manufacturer that could make metal table bases, and they were looking for an OEM manufacturer. Well, those manufacturers in our industry are kind of hidden behind a curtain. They're not very public. And so I did my research and I found a company, and my friend had recommended them. And I'm searching. And the only way for me to contact them was to fill out a form on their website. There was no email address. There was no phone number. There was no physical address. It was a form. I closed the website browser.
Yeah.
Put an info at abccompany.com and let me email you what my issue is. Don't hide. Don't give me no way to contact you because I'm just going to leave. And that's what I did. And I'm not alone. There are a lot of people that do that. When there's not an easy way to connect with a brand, they're going to leave.
Yeah, so true. Make it easy for people. That's the number one rule for business owners and sales is just make it easy to buy your stuff.
Hello at ABC Company.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be your cell phone number. It can be a Google number. They're free. Put a Google number out there, or you could put a chat bot on your website where they could chat with you. But you have to give people an easy button to contact you because guess what? If I'm trying to contact you, that means I'm either a referral or I'm an active buyer. Don't lose me because I can't connect with you on your website at a minimum. And I went to their LinkedIn page even. No phone number on their LinkedIn page either.
No,
Don't make your product.
That's right. Well, I think this can go all the way into the sales side of things where someone says, I'd like to meet with you, pick a time on my Calendly, but it's not necessarily convenient for the person you're trying to meet with.
So I'm a big fan of Calendly and sending it
Yeah.
or not in the first Instagram direct message.
Yeah.
It's after you've had a little bit of back and forth. And here's how I phrase it. Hey, Harry, I would love to connect with you and continue this conversation and share with you how I can be a resource for you. Below is the link for my calendar for you to schedule a time that is most convenient for you.
Nice.
Convenient for you. And so if I'm connecting with somebody brand new, which I do a lot because of my podcast, I have a Calendly link called Coffee Chat.
Yep.
Hey, I would love to get to know you a little bit more. Thanks for checking out my podcast. Here's a link to schedule a time that works best for you for us to have a coffee chat. Definitely have different titles to them, but don't send the Calendly link in the first email. And those yahoos that are trying to teach you cold calling tactics and telling you to do that, please don't listen to them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I totally agree with that. It's a simple thing. It's the approach. It's the introduction to it, making it very easy for the person. Some people are not tech savvy though. And so just throwing it out there, recognize that. And some might say, does Tuesday at 3 or 4 work? If not, feel free to find a time convenient for you on my Calendly here.
So sometimes you just need to have the conversation to figure out the time. My struggle with that has always been like 5 emails later and you still haven't figured out a time.
Oh my goodness.
Just,
Jesus.
it's
Yeah.
but it's not just a headache for me, it's a headache for them because we
Yeah.
can't find, and that's like a really appropriate time to send the link over.
Right.
But make sure you've got open times on your calendar when you send that link. Don't
Yeah.
send them a link that to schedule time with you in 3 months. They keep scrolling and it's the third month before they can actually, because then you've lost interest.
Right.
Right. Then you've lost interest. So
Yeah.
you gotta make it again. You got to make it easy.
Good advice. We were going to talk a little bit about sales leadership. So, a question I have is like all of these things that we're talking about here today would really be helpful for a lot of salespeople.
Mhm.
How does a sales leader, what would you say the thoughts are that a sales leader should do to convey this, what we went over, skill sets, mindset,
Mhm.
psychological selling to help his team or her team?
So that's a great question. And I think I have a couple of different viewpoints on this. The first is to schedule intentional training for your team. Don't make it haphazard. Don't make it only out of need. Schedule a monthly or quarterly some type of sales training for your team on a regular basis. I like monthly. You could bring somebody like me in, you could bring other people in to talk about different strategies, but schedule a training and make sure that that training that you're doing 30 to 45 minutes is offering amazing value to your sellers. It could
Yeah.
be hiring our friend Niraj Kapoor to do LinkedIn sales training, whatever it is. There's tons of things that you can train your team on. So give them the gift of education. The second thing I would say is please coach them. Please coach them. There are all kinds of books about coaching for leaders. There's a podcast called Coaching for Leaders, where if you don't feel like you're a coach, you can learn how to be a coach. You can learn how to ask open-ended, empowering questions. You can learn how to reframe things. All this stuff that you can learn how to do very easily. Please schedule a one-on-one at a minimum 30 minutes to coach them. And coaching them is understanding what their challenges are, helping them look at alternative viewpoints. It's not telling. And then the third thing that I would say is, for the love of all things holy, please don't micromanage them.
Mm.
The worst way to kill the energy of a salesperson is to micromanage them. Don't make them fill out daily call sheets. Don't make them fill out a spreadsheet of where they've been, who they talked to, and the 3 takeaways from that meeting. Please don't do that. If you've got a true CRM, they'll update that CRM and the information you need is at your fingertips. Don't micromanage them and don't give them any extra work. But you got to be there to support them. And supporting means education. It means listening to them. So training them and coaching them are 2 of the best things that you can do to empower your team. You hired them for a reason. Empower them to do their job the best way that they possibly can. Don't make them call you every time they need to. Give them the parameters of which they can make decisions, and then trust them. You have to trust them, especially your top sellers, because the more you stagnate them, the more you micromanage them, the more unhappy they're going to be with their job, and the more they're going to start typing in new job positions on LinkedIn and looking for another place.
Absolutely. 100% agree. I think the thing that a lot of salespeople or sales leaders are missing is the opportunity to ride with the reps. Go out in the field, be intentional with the rep, not be staring at your phone, scrolling, answering calls, texting, but to look, I mean, to hear what the reps are saying, ask them questions about their family, what their ambitions are in life.
Right.
Then not everything needs to be a coaching thing. This is the thing that I feel that you've got to let people be themselves. So you might do things differently. You might have had all the experience and sales success over the years, but it did not happen all at once. So when I watch people, and I've done a lot of corrections, it's like, well, you could try this a little bit better. But what that can actually do is wear a person down. And I've had people say over the years, well, do I do anything right? It's like, yeah, you do a lot right. That's a huge wake up, right? Because people want to be free and grow, and sometimes that little nudge right there. And they were joking, but it was like, yeah, there's some seriousness there, right?
Yeah,
anything like that, there's some seriousness, and it's just causing me to self-reflect.
Right.
Let people be people. And, where there's opportunity that's important, that's a different story, but not everything is important, right?
So the thing that comes up for me listening to you talk about that is to say to the leader, be curious. Don't be judgmental. Be
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah.
So rather than say, well, I wouldn't have asked that question to that customer. I wouldn't have pitched that product to that customer. Be curious and say,
Yeah.
hey, Harry, why did you ask those series of questions about this? Try to understand where they're coming from. Be curious, not judgmental. Don't judge them because you heard them say something that you wouldn't have said or you would have done it differently. Ask them why they did it. Maybe it was the relationship they have with the customer.
Yeah.
Maybe they'd already talked about something else in the past, but just try to be curious about why they were doing certain things to help you understand how you can turn that into a teaching moment. A teaching moment can be a group teaching moment. It could be your next one-on-one. It doesn't have to be right there in the instance.
Exactly.
Which comes
Yeah.
across as judgment when you do it in the instance.
I like the word what versus why. And the reason I say that is because of probably a hang up that I have is that when people ask me why, I felt like the defense mechanism kicked in.
Yep.
So I learned over the years that if I use the word what led you, or what was the thought process, or I noticed this, curious what, and go from there.
Yep.
Versus the why led to a self-defense response frequently.
Yep.
And I wanted to eliminate that in my coaching. And I had this great guest who was a Army interrogation person.
Ooh, wow.
And I asked about that. And because I picked up that he's using what, and I said, so why are you using what versus why? And he gave me a similar response.
Interesting.
But it's interesting how just a slight difference in a word. And I had a business coach follow up on this post and podcast I did. And he says, well, I think why is okay. And it's like, well, I'm not saying never use it, but it's just, again, it's one of those things where you might just try it and see what kind of difference there is.
What did you hope to accomplish in that call?
Yeah.
What do you feel you accomplished in that call?
Yeah.
What do you feel like you could have done better in that call?
Yeah.
What went right in that call? What went wrong in that call?
Yeah.
So I certainly appreciate the what, and there's a place for both why and what in the coaching, if you will, and building up of your team. Leadership is changing, and sales leaders need to continue to evolve themselves. They need to continue to learn. One of the best books I've ever read is called Trust and Inspire. And it's by Stephen Covey's son. So Stephen M.R. Covey, comparing and contrasting command and control and trust and inspire leadership. Command and control. Do this now. This is how you do it. Trust and inspire is, Harry, I trust you. You've got the tools and the skill set to do this, and then you inspire them to go do great work. So it's called Trust and Inspire. It's a great book comparing and contrasting the two types of leaders. So if you're a leader out there and you're struggling to manage your team or feel like you're not getting through to your team and they're not performing, go read that book, because
I love it. Yeah.
The one thing that we can all control is us, our response, how we do things, our actions. The one thing we can't change is someone else. We can inspire someone to change, but we can't change someone else. So when you're struggling or your team is struggling, the first place to look is you. What can I do differently as a leader to improve the performance of my team? How can I change? How do I need to adapt to be a better leader? So you can't change anybody, but you can change yourself and invest in yourself.
Amen to that. Yep. Totally love it. And I'll put it in the show notes. So it'll be in the show notes for sure. Where can people find more of Sid Meadows and his brilliance?
The best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. If you do and you connect with me, please send me a note that says, hey, I heard you here on Harry's podcast, and then I'll easily connect with you. You can also connect with me on Instagram. My podcast is called The Trend Report. We have real conversations with real people about all things, including office furniture. So you can check us out on the Trend Report. We'll be starting season 7 of the Trend Report in February of 2026. So I'm pretty public and you can find me in all places. If you listened and you heard this, you got any value out of it, please say hey to me. I would really like it.
Thank you, Sid.
Have a great day.